As the new academic year gets underway at colleges and universities, students, parents, administrators, and faculty and residents of college towns are all asking the same questions. Will it be safe? Should students return to campus? John Yang reports on those concerns and then looks at the larger questions around affordability and cost that are getting new attention during the pandemic. It's part of our special series on Rethinking College.
On campuses across the country, this year's annual student move-in has been a little different from the past. Much smaller crowds.
It's just odd not seeing anybody. You know, you expect it to be hustle and bustle.
And just about everybody wearing a mask.
I know I'm going to do my part. I just hope other people do theirs.
Millions of students, parents, and college administrators have been wondering the same thing. Is it safe? In May, the 23-campus California State University system said there would be no in-person classes this fall. Johns Hopkins and Princeton universities made that move only last week.
In order to move in this year, you're going to want to make sure that you have a reservation beforehand.
According to Davidson University's College Crisis Initiative, which tracks higher education's pandemic response, only about 3/4 of U.S. colleges have a plan. What schools decide affects more than just classrooms and campuses. It's also felt throughout college towns like Amherst, Massachusetts, home to Amherst College, Hampshire College, and the University of Massachusetts Amherst, which is known as UMass. In a normal fall, their combined enrollments would double the town's population. In June, UMass, by far the largest of the three schools, announced that all students could return to campus when the fall semester begins later this month, even if all their classes would be online.
You lower your mask, and then you put it into your nostril.
A system is in place for students to self-administer coronavirus tests twice a week, and they must pledge in writing to wear masks in public, not gather in large groups, and maintain social distancing. UMass Chancellor Kumble Subbaswamy.
We thought with all the steps we were taking in terms of testing and contact tracing and all the precautions, and in fact, well beyond the precautions recommended by the CDC and so forth, that we could safely invite students back.
Some year-round Amherst residents disagreed.
When we started to see what the university's plans were in their first communications, it was alarming.
Robin Jaffin asked people to sign a petition that said returning students will increase the risk to our communities. A big concern, the behavior of students living off campus.
How do you actually implement the set of requirements for them that you have set for the same student body that's on campus?
This weekend there'll be a lot of parties. Yeah. There's still a lot of students who live in town.
Town officials worried that an influx of students could drive up the area's currently low infection rate. Town manager Paul Bockelman.
The real fear is if our local hospital gets overwhelmed, and we have worked hard to manage that. We fear that our public safety, emergency medical services, and police will get overwhelmed.
Colleges are very comparable to landlocked cruise ships.
Students who work in dormitories as residential assistants and peer mentors also voiced their opposition. Rising senior James Cordero is a leader of their labor union.
And the fact is, when you put that many people together in such confined spaces, social distancing is such the opposite of what those environments are built for.
On the other hand, local business leaders fear the economic impact of a fall without students. Gabrielle Gould is executive director of Amherst Downtown Business Improvement District.
If we lose our student population, we will lose more businesses than we already are presented with losing due to the COVID pandemic.
Amherst Books is the town's last remaining brick-and-mortar bookstore. Co-owner Nat Harold says he felt caught between a rock and a hard place.
I could probably speak for most of the merchants in town that we're looking forward to having business come back to town, but we're also terrified that people are going to bring the virus. I mean, I need the business, but I also would just assume the students not come back.
As the academic year approached, and with the pandemic worsening nationwide, UMass officials realized their plan presented daunting logistical challenges, like regularly testing all students.
It's easy to say we'll test, everyone twice a week or something like that. But then if you start working out the details of what that'll entail, in fact, as an observed sample taking, that takes, in fact, a lot of time and a lot of people.
He wrote the UMass community late last week, abruptly reversing course. Only students who are enrolled in essential face-to-face classes will be accommodated in campus residence halls. Instead of 15,000 students on campus, officials now expect fewer than 1,200 in UMass dorms and another 3,000 living in town. Most are in classes like science labs, which have been modified for social distancing. The Amherst residents' concerns had been heard.
We were both drifting in that direction of saying we don't want as many students. And so to get to that decision to reduce the number, a lot of deliberation had to go into it. So that's really a lot of the steps we were learning as we were going along.
A continuing education for college administrators across the country.